My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me now and we will explore these topics and so much more with fascinating guests, authors, and experts who will guide us to Destination Unlimited. On May 17th, 2024, the Vatican held a press conference about apparitions and supernatural phenomenon. The updated stance was requested by Pope Francis in order to pay special attention to the topics of UFOs, aliens, and their relationship with faith. This follows several years of the U.S. and other governments becoming more transparent on this phenomenon. What does this mean? My guest on Destination Unlimited this week, Dr. Christopher Macklin, specializes in healing abductees and others who have suffered related negative ET trauma. For more than 14 years, Dr. Macklin has been assisting people in removing negative ET presences from their lives, clearing homes and land, and closing multidimensional portals. Dr. Macklin is highly respected globally as a spiritual teacher and energetic healer for his work in assisting people in achieving optimal spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical health. He has written several books and is a frequent guest on radio and television outlets across the country. His website is globalenlightenmentproject.com, and he joins me this week to share his research, experience, and understanding of the UFO-ET phenomenon and the recent Vatican disclosures. Please join me in welcoming back Dr. Christopher Macklin. Welcome back, Chris.
Yeah, thanks, Victor. We haven't spoken for a little bit, but it's wonderful to be back. Thank you so much for having me. Bless your heart.
Thank you. And as I mentioned in the introduction, we will be discussing the implications of the recent Vatican press conference. But for our listeners meeting you for the first time, please share your early path in Chester, England, and how it led to your work and your calling.
Well, it's nuts, but I'll share it with you. So, when I was born, it was really interesting. Not many people know this, but when I was born as a starseed being, a Melchizedek being. Of course, I didn't know that at the time. Seriously attacked. When I was first born, 2 days after, I had 8 strokes in hospital for a year. And then after that, got out of hospital. And then when I was 4, I burnt my back so badly with hot water that I was in hospital for another year. And then things moved on. And just after that, when I was back at home, I saw this being in my bedroom, and I always remember it was like 10 foot something tall, a reptilian type thing. Of course, it looked like a dinosaur. I thought, Dad, there's a dinosaur in the corner of my room, and he comes running up. Where? Oh, we can't see it. And I could tell it was real because I could feel its energy, and it was very crushing in the chest. So in the end, when my father had left, it's just a bad dream, darling. I commanded it to leave, and it left. I thought, wow, that works. And even at the age of 4, I could manage these things, these beings that come into your room and everything else. But I realized I could see them. Not many people can see them. So I curtailed telling anyone about them just in case they put me in a mental institution or something. So anyway, of course, I could see craftiness. Dad, there's a craftiness guy. And couldn't see that either. So I went through school, very different. And of course, it's important to note that people who have been born as starseeds, which means that they've come down to do a job, they may be spliced at birth, they may be not spliced. It depends what race you're from. If you're Palladian, you're not spliced at birth. If you're Melchizedek, Arcturian, and other ones, you can be spliced, which means your mother's abducted to get the amount of DNA in the body so that you can hold the soul. They have to splice you in. So anyway, you get spliced in at birth, and then so moved on, realized I was different, didn't mix that well with people, and then I decided to do a degree. And my father, of course, said, "Well, you're too thick to get a degree," because I had severe dyslexia. So I got a degree, and then I got a master's, and then I went on from there and got some very high-fluting jobs in corporate systems like British Aerospace and Marconi, and also Philips Consumer Electronics. And I used to look around thinking, there's got to be something better than this. There's got to be, and I was earning plenty of money, but it wasn't about the money. It was about, I've got a purpose, but don't quite understand. Anyway, sure enough, God says, well, in 2007, when everything collapsed in Manchester, I was building 173 apartments, and I went completely bankrupt within 4 weeks because everything devalued. And what a blessing. At the time, it didn't seem like a blessing. And I remember asking God, I said, well, God, what's going on? This is all I've got for 21 years of work is 2 bags with a couple of pairs of pantaloons and a shirt. And I remember him saying, it's the right time. I said, what do you mean it's the right time? It's the right time, you'll see. And I did see. It just took a while. And so I traveled the world doing healings. And, I realized during that time, because I could meditate, I got a gift of healing. But even if you got a gift, you got to understand how it works. And so I worked out when I went to Belize and meditated in the Mayan temple called Chiantovich that it really opened me up. And they showed me past lives, and they showed me what I should be doing now. And from that, I spent about 3 or 4 years meditating, understanding cause and effect. And but I remember reading specifically 20 years ago, and this lady, she was in just outside Liverpool in a place called Birkenhead. And I walked in, and she started doing the reading. Yes, thank you. Oh, thank you. Wrote all this stuff down. She goes, well, you're going to get remarried. Okay. You're going to move to America. Okay. And you're going to do healings and live off donations. And I was kind of thinking, wow, okay. I didn't discount it, but I thought, this sounds a little crazy. Oh, look, it arrived. So never, if you get readings like that really resonate, then, you never know what time frame that's going to happen. Anyway, I came to America and traveled around America and became a citizen in 2017. And here we are, running a ministry, a healing ministry, basically. But, then we converted it to the Global Enlightenment Project to help enlighten people at this time and support them. And it's been highly successful.
Please share with our listeners about the Global Enlightenment Project and what your offerings are.
Well, the Global Enlightenment Project, we converted it. It's part of Christopher Macklin Ministries Incorporated, which is basically a 501c3. So, and we wanted to open the Global Enlightenment Project to globally enlighten and help people understand what's going on in the world, understand how to navigate it, understand how to do some healing and take your power back. I mean, Victor, I don't believe in gurus. I believe you are your own guru. But of course, if you're not in a good place, then, sometimes you need help to release all the trauma from this lifetime. I mean, who hasn't got trauma? That would be everybody, because the place is crazy. I mean, I love the planet, but the behavior on it's not so good at the moment. So it's helping people, be able to navigate, especially if you're a starseed person, you don't fit in with the normal human behavior. So it's important to detach from that and get out the matrix and learn to navigate it in a different way. So the Global Enlightenment Project is really doing that. But I've also got another project, which is the Pyramid Project, which basically is building 3 very huge pyramids. They're off planet. We don't have the materials or the technology to build these things. And it's my job to get them down here and buy the land. They'll place them down here and create an infrastructure where people can come and A, get healed, but B, come and see them, So, but why are we doing that? Well, there's a lot of very dark symbology, Luciferian and draconian symbology in the ley lines that kind of blocks the energy flow of the ley lines on this planet. So one of the biggest things really is to get these pyramids down here so that we can flush out that symbology and start the ley lines, start raising the vibration of the planet. It's just, helping really.
When I attended a local gathering here in the early 1990s, there was a presentation by a woman by the name of Barbara Marciniak. She wrote a book called Bringers of the Dawn about the Pleiadians. And I'm sitting there in a group of about 50 or 60 people toward the back of the room. And she's talking about the Pleiadians, and all of a sudden she makes eye contact with me and smiles brightly. And I didn't make anything of it other than she was being polite to the room. And after it was over, she said, "Can I speak to you for a moment?" And I said, "Yes." She said, "You are a Pleiadian." And I said, "I was not aware of that." And then she started telling me things that made absolute sense to me about changes that were taking place in my life. in terms of my personal healing path and the work that I was bringing in addition to my normal career. And it all resonated and it all makes sense. You had talked about being a starseed and also being a Melchizedek being. Please explain to our listeners what those are.
Well, starseed is basically somebody who's not coming down here to experience the extreme classroom of this planet, because this is an extreme classroom, and people come down here, and because it's extreme, it really breaks people open to start looking towards spirituality. But starseeds are not coming down for that. They're coming down to do a job. Now, why do we need starseeds on this planet? The answer is because if you look at the keys of Enoch, there's one very important key to this third dimensional world, and that is that even Prime Creator, any off-planet beings like Pleiadians, Arcturians, Lemurians, Atlantarians, all these guys who are helping us, cannot do anything unless someone is actually born down here and asked for help off-planet, basically. And so that's why the starseeds are here. But of course, the negative beings, the Luciferians and Draconians and all these guys, Anunnaki, Archons, they know who the starseeds are, so they relentlessly attack them, and that's why a lot of starseeds aren't doing the work, because they're so badly attacked, and it's crazy. So the Melchizedek beings are actually in the ultimate dimension. There's infinite dimensions, outside the third dimensional world. And so I was born as one here. There's 5 of us here. There's a lot of Arcturians here. We work very closely with them to just help the planet. That's why we're here. It's a job to do.
It's funny. On my Facebook tagline, I have "visitor from a small planet staying to make a difference," and that's the way I feel.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Well, often people say, "Well, am I making a difference?" Said, I remember a lady. She was working for a big corporation. I won't mention the corporation. And she said, I realized that I was, it's one of these satanic corporations. And I realized that, working with my team, I'm basically introducing light, love, and positive energy into a satanic organization. And that's what we're here for. We're not here to just love and light on of service. We're here to do a job. And that's, helping others within dark corporations to see the light. Someone said to me one day, "Well, would you ever go to the Vatican?" I said, "Maybe, who knows?" And said, "Why would you go there?" I said, "You know what? It's my job that if I can get on a dark bus and switch one light on, I've made a difference." Absolutely. And that's what it's all about, I think, anyway.
As I mentioned in our introduction, on May 17th of this year, the Vatican held a press conference about apparitions and supernatural phenomenon. This updated stance was requested by Pope Francis in order to pay special attention to the topics of UFOs, aliens, and their relationship with faith. From your understanding, what brought this about?
I believe that. I think the Vatican feels threatened because it's got 2 billion parishioners, who are part of Catholicism. And of course, it's got bigger and bigger, more wealthy and more wealthy. And I think they're concerned that they're going to lose their status if, people realize there's off-planet beings. I mean, if you look at years in the past, there's a lot of symbology showing, there's a lot of different types of beings. And, if they came down, they might start worshiping them as some sort of god. So I think that's why they were trying to debate, what should we do about this, and of course there's apparitions and supernatural phenomena as well. Mother Mary, comes in. I mean, I speak to her, every weekend, every day almost, because she's part of the Melchizedek, beings, basically, but she's not here. She decided to stay in the ethers in this time.
Is there a connection between the Vatican and off-planet ETs?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. In fact, the thing is about the Vatican is that the Luciferians are really connected to the Vatican. And basically, what does that actually mean? Well, if you look at the symbology in the Vatican, and where they worship, it's all Luciferian symbology, the inverted cross, the symbology of the snakes and all this sort of thing. And so Basically they are worshipping Lucifer. And people say, well, Lucifer's of the light. Not this Lucifer's not. So, it's interesting.
How long do you think this relationship has been going on?
Thousands of years, I think, in fact, I think it's before Catholicism was born. I think these beings have been around for eons. Luciferians actually live under the planet. So do the Anunnaki, and so do the Draconians. The Archons, they float through dimensions, second, third, fourth dimension, but they have no body. But these beings have all got together because they really want to take over the planet, the resources. They see us as cattle fodder. And so we're really up against a massive spiritual battle right now. And if you go back to the pyramids, what will happen with those? Well, when they're brought down here, the vibration of the planet's going to accelerate to the point where these low vibrational beings can't stay here. They'll have to leave or they'll perish. And so that's an interesting concept as well. But it means there's no karma. They have a choice.
How do you see that? How do they have that choice?
Well, they can leave the planet, because as the vibration goes higher, they're going to start. It's going to start crushing them. But they have the ability to redeem themselves. I mean, you've got to remember, all these beings are God beings. Every single one, the dark ones, the light ones, they're all God's beings. But the dark ones have basically been fallen angels. They're fallen to the dark side, and it's all about control, greed, and they have the ability to redeem themselves if they want to, or not.
How has contact with both positive and negative ETs shaped our religions and spiritual practices?
Well, it's it's quite a big question. Well, obviously the positive ETs aren't involved really with religion. I mean, religion has been born and crafted and manipulated for many thousands of years. I mean, if you look at Christianity, there's blood rituals going on every Sunday. Is that a good thing? In my opinion, not. And it all seems to stem from the Vatican. They've hidden gospels out of the Bible. They've rewritten it, many times. And so, the Bible isn't the original book that was written 200 years after Jesus, supposed passing, which he didn't, of course. And I think what they've done is the people in charge, the kings and the Vatican and all these things have manipulated humanity little by little, and programmed them so that they can be part of a religion which they believe in. But almost every religion's hijacked somewhere,
Do you see that with all the faiths, including the Eastern faiths, such as Hinduism?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I think they've all been hijacked. I mean, to me, I think, instead of believing everything nowadays, I believe you've got to step back and use your discernment. Is all the Bible wrong? Of course it's not. There are some good things in there, but there's also some very bad things as well. And I think what you've got to do is when you're reading things, when you look at different religions like Hinduism, there's very many beings that have come down that aren't so good, and some of them are. And I think what you got to do is use your discernment, your gut feeling. Is this being of the light, yes or no? Like Luciferians, are they of the light? Absolutely not. And in fact, the Vatican is not the only people who are connected to Lucifer. The Masonic Lodge and Bohemian Grove are also connected to those beings as well. After 10-degree Masons, Masonic, when you get to 10 degrees, you're going to worship Lucifer, whether you like it or not. And after 10 degrees, you're locked into the Masonic Lodge. You can't leave.
As you had mentioned before, we're all familiar with reports of angelic visitations, including the appearance of Mother Mary throughout history. May some of these be attributed to positive ETs, and what positive influences in our various spiritual traditions come from the positive ETs?
Well, I think, you get apparitions. When things are really bad, sometimes these beings will show themselves, like Mother Mary as a Melchizedek being, or other Arcturians or angelic beings, to show you that you are okay. We have your back. But of course, going back to the keys of Enoch, they can't do anything. And that's why they show themselves, so to give people comfort that, there is something off planet which is helping us. And that gives them hopefully hope and then turns into faith that they can call on these beings and get them to help down here and help their life turn around.
As I'd shared many times, when I was a child growing up in the 1950s, I received visitation from ETs. Mine were very pleasant, and my experiences were what I referred to as night school. They would share things with me that I had no other knowledge or source of knowledge for. For example, at 5 and 6 years of age, I wanted to build crystal radios back then in the 1950s. When my friends wanted to play with toy soldiers and sporting goods, I wanted to build crystal radios. And I think that my contact was planting a seed at that time. Are there others who are experiencing this right now?
Oh, a lot, yeah. It's interesting because as a starseed, it sounds brutalist, but if the starseed's being attacked and they're low vibration, they don't really connect with their starseed family. So I always encourage, if you're a starseed, to meditate with your starseed family. They say, well, I don't know who they are. Well, ask them. But when I first went bankrupt, I realized, having gone to Belize and gone to Jantovich, they showed me, and it was amazing. I was in the room. It was almost like a holograph in the room, showing me my past lives and everything else. Oh, okay. And then they started visiting me. And from then, I started meditating with them, and you get downloads. What you were talking about, Victor, is downloads, where you suddenly know things. You think, how on earth do I know this? Because, if you wanted to know everything, your human brain, the capacity of it, wouldn't allow you to be able to download everything. So what they do is look at your gifts and then start downloading aspects that you need for, whether it's technology, whether it's healing, how do you do the healing, whether it's art, whatever it is. Suddenly you get these downloads, you think, wow, I can do this, and I've not even been to art school. So everyone actually has got a divine gift. It's just most people never find it, which is sad, because a divine gift is something, yes, you have to learn how it works, but you don't have to go to school, college, university to be able to do it. It's there, and you just have to understand how it works.
It's inspired, and you just have to open your mind and your spiritual eyes to see it.
Absolutely, and practice it as well. If you feel like, wow, I don't know how. It's like with art. I mean, am I an artist? Absolutely not. If I did a painting and went to an art gallery, they'd say, get out and never come back, because art is definitely not my gift, nor is writing books. I know what you're going to probably say. Well, how did you write 6 books when you got severe dyslexia? And the answer is, I had to use a ghostwriter because it's not my gift. And Victor, I tried everything. I remember sitting in front of the computer. Right, I'm ready to write something. Nothing there. Oh, okay, so that's not working. So I used Dragon Naturally Speaking. So I started speaking into it, and I said, Zeta Gray, one of the alien beings, that said, oh, have a nice day. So that wasn't picking that up either. So I thought, oh gosh. So in the end, I've got a ghostwriter, and what I do is dictate the stuff, because I can't it just doesn't come out naturally. I can start talking about the healing, but it's from my perspective. And then the ghostwriter said, well, what do you mean by that? And then she expands it. And what do you mean by that? Expands it. And that's how we've got the books out. But at least I found a way, which I was really pleased about.
Well, considering what you experienced after you were born, I think it's miraculous and wonderful that you're able to do that.
Yeah, bless your heart. Well, I had 8 strokes. It's funny because I had a scan about something, because I had a bioweapon on. I was dusted with a bioweapon at one of the conferences, and I had a bulge that came up. It's a cyst on the left of my neck, and so they did a scan. They said, you've got this issue with your brain, like, you've got scar tissue, I said, oh yeah, don't worry about that, just get on with this thing. And yeah, it's amazing.
My guest is Dr. Christopher Macklin. Chris, please share with our listeners about your Global Enlightenment Project and your offerings there.
Absolutely. If you want help, if you want support, whatever you need, we're here. If you go to globalenlightenmentproject.com, we do 2 healings a week. That is Thursday, 5 p.m. Central Time, and Saturday, 11 a.m. Central Time. And you could come on, it's by donation. If you have no money, please come on. Look, I know what it's like to have no money. I went completely bankrupt, didn't even have money for food for 21 days, 7 days. So I know what it's like, and we're here for people. I also do specialized groups where people pay. We craft the healing, and we speak to everyone up to 20 people. Then we do the healing, and then I do one-to-ones. And then also we've got a lot of meditations, things like, the brain series for anxiety, PTSD, ADD, ADHD, OCD. Almost all star thieves have some sort of, they have some sort of issue like that because they don't fit in this world. I hear so many people, God dropped me off the wrong planet, and, I always laugh actually and think, well, as you're coming out of the vaginal opening, on this planet, there's the IRS in the corner. Welcome to Mother Earth. Here's your invoice. And then it kind of goes down. I'm just joking, but it's a lot for a starseed person who's been used to unconditional love and being on the other side,
Absolutely. And we'll be back with more of Dr. Christopher Macklin after these words on the Om Times Radio Network.
The cutting edge of conscious radio, Om Times Radio, IOM FM. Om Times Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Om Times, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Back on Destination Unlimited, my guest this week, Dr. Christopher Macklin. Chris, are the dark forces found in different religions from negative ETs? And what negative spiritual traditions, influences, or practices come from the negative ETs?
Well, they do influence it. I mean, like I say, all religions, there's some connection with negative ETs. Certainly in Catholicism there is. And, I'm not trying to put people down. Certainly in Christianity there is as well. I mean, if you look at it, I'll take one example if I can. Look at doing communion. I say, okay, what's wrong with drinking the blood of Jesus, eating his flesh? Well, it's because of the new covenant. So what's the new covenant? No one looks at it. Go back and research the new covenant. The new covenant goes back to the Vatican. It's all about sacrifice. And to me, God isn't sacrifice. God is unconditional love, prime creator. And so, for me, that introduction of a ritual has been born by the Vatican so that, they can get people to do a ritual every Sunday. To me, it's not healthy, but that's just my opinion. So, and, a lot of other religions have the same thing, influences. It's interesting with the negative ETs, they always give you 3 truths and 1 lie. Like, for example, if someone's doing a reading with you, if someone's channeling a reptilian, it won't be all lies. It'll be like 3 truths, like, oh yeah, you're meant to be doing this. You're doing that, and wow, how did they know that? And then suddenly you'll get this massive lie, like, well, yeah, you should be in France. I see you in a house with a pink roof, green doors, and a red something. And, oh, okay. And that's just manipulated because most people will get on a plane, go find that house because some crazy person has, painted a house that color. And, and it's for sale. I'll buy that. So right there, they've just manipulated you. So they don't have all lies. They're there to manipulate very carefully. It's like mind control, So, and it's all over the world. And these things are connected. It's not just to religion, but it's to the deep state, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call them. The dark forces that are trying to control humanity. It's all connected.
Who are the negative ETs? You had mentioned the Draconians, the Reptilians. Who else?
Yeah, so you got the main ones here are the Zeta Greys. Then there's other Greys that are small Greys, but the Zeta Greys are in charge, or they were abducting people because they've ruined their own planet to basically make humanoids. Then you've got the Anunnaki. Now, these look like velociraptor type things. They are under the planet. There's many, many of them. But they're more subtle. They're not so dark as Draconians. They can attach to you because they're in a different dimension. They can come here and they can appear, or they can actually shapeshift into human form. And sometimes, you might think, wow, that person feels really dark. What's the matter with them? And we actually have a prayer to expose them. If they shapeshift, they cannot get around this prayer. So if you ever feel like something, the prayer goes like this. It says, I am of God. I ground myself to the earth. Dear God, I command you show this person in their true form. If they're reptilian shapeshifting, what's going to happen is you're going to get an opaque, it's very profound, an opaque version of their true self around them, and you can't miss it. So if you ever think, this person, are they reptilian? Then say that prayer. You can say it to yourself, of course. Don't tell it to them because they might get upset. I had a girlfriend who was reptilian, and I thought, why are you so mean? And one night I was sitting there, did the prayer. Oh my God, she's an Anunnaki. The next morning, when she'd gone to work, I was gone, and she was still upset, but it was profound. You can see that formation, that opaque formation, with your own eyes.
Is there communication and understanding between the negative ETs, perhaps the reptilians, and the darker forms of spiritual worship?
Absolutely, they're all connected. Yeah, I mean, all the satanic sacrifice, and people think, sacrifice doesn't go on. Oh, absolutely it does. And some of the religions, they're very dark within the depths, like the Vatican. There's sacrifice there. There's all sorts of things. It's all connected to the monarchy as well, and it's all about sacrificing to either Lucifer or Dracondio, which is the draconian head. The Greys. I mean, the Greys have they've detached from the planet a bit. Since 2017, I was actually taken to a meeting because I chair the Galactic Federation with two other Melchizedek beings. And I was taken, actually, the soul was taken this time, not my body. Because if your body gets taken, when you come back, it aches like the dickens because you've been on a craft that runs thousands of miles an hour. But anyway, so I went there and they were talking about what's the difference between education violation. A lot of people to me say, well, these reptilians and draconians and archons and snake beings, they're all violating your body. Well, you've got to remember, before you come down here, it's an extreme classroom. So they say, well, yeah, you could have these beings, they're going to try and attach you, they're going to try and manipulate. And of course, when you're in the God realm, oh, no problem, I can deal with that. And when you get down here, like, whoa, this is crazy. And to me, the power of prayer, the power of God is way more than any of this money or anything else going on down here. But you have to learn how to navigate them. You have to learn how to stop them get attaching to your body. One of the biggest things, I think, doing healings is to release enough emotion. I mean, everyone's got emotion. Victor, you look at people, the mental health of this planet's pretty serious at the moment. Everyone's got trauma of some sort. There's separation in religion, in politics, in even big pharma, instruments. And I think the separation's so huge that it's fractured families apart. So, of course, you get trauma by that, a lot of trauma. So to me, one of the biggest things about getting back on the divine path is to start releasing that emotion. And we have a fast-track method of doing that with psychic surgery, where they pull the emotion out, next one. And by doing that, as you feel better, your vibration goes up, you take your power back. Once you've taken your power back, your vibration is way above these beings. They can't even get near your energy field. But of course, it's a journey. So we do have a prayer on the website called the 27 Esoteric Merkaba Field Prayer. I actually like the word map of intent better. If you say that 3 times a day, whilst you're doing healing, you'll keep these beings out so you can get your vibration up a lot faster. Because, of course, if you don't say the prayer, once, you've had a healing session, your vibration drops a bit, it comes to their level, they'll reattach to you without realizing it, and suddenly, it's going to drag your vibration down. So it's going to take a lot longer to release the emotion and get your vibration up. So the power of prayer, to me, is very important, or map of intent, as I love to call it.
And that prayer can be found on the globalenlightenmentproject.com, correct?
Yeah. It's called the 27 Esoteric Merkaba Field Prayer. And very powerful prayer.
And the Merkaba is the light body.
The light body, absolutely.
We're all familiar with the story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden and the snake, the serpent, who leads them astray. How do ETs, both positive and negative, use our spiritual traditions to evolve and uplift us, or to manipulate and harm us?
the negative ETs will attach to you. You know, for example, if you have an Anunnaki attached to you, and what it does is it sits in the abdomen, so your abdomen's bloated because the low vibrational energy paralyzes the lower intestine. It taps in the lower back, so it damages over a period of time the L4 L5 disc, sends you negative thoughts. Like if you go out to your workplace and, you know, you get these thoughts like, oh, no one likes you, you're pathetic. God, you can't even do your job, your boss doesn't like. And then you go somewhere else, you know, you go amongst friends, oh, the friends don't like you. You get all these negative thoughts 24/7, and people start to believe them. But what's interesting, if you look at those thoughts, they're actually a you thought, not an I thought. They're not coming from you. They're coming from this attachment. So it's so important to remove those attachments. But they manipulate and manipulate and manipulate people. I mean, almost everyone, and we work on about 2,000 people a week. And almost everyone that I see, you know, if it's a one-to-one specialized group, has an attachment if they've come for healing in some form or other. And they're pretty depressed as well. And suddenly, you know, you remove the empty, everything changes. Now, the positive beings are there, like I say, to comfort you. You know, if you really look and meditate with any of the positive beings like, you know, Palladians, Arcturians, Lemurians, Atlantarians, Andromedans, all these guys, Lyrans, they're all there to help us. Now, if you meditate with them, they're going to give you positive thoughts. And, you know, you can actually, once you get tuned into them, you can get telepathy because the thoughts come in like, you should be doing this and you're doing great. They support you. The negative ETs don't. What they're trying to do is drag you down back to that depressive state that you're in, you know, when you first started the healing journey. So it's very important to, you know, to take your power back. There's some work to do, you know.
You had mentioned a bulging abdomen and or the fourth and fifth discs in the back.
Yeah, like, you know, like the disc, you know, yeah, your discs between your vertebrae, yeah.
Right, the third and fourth, the
L4 and 5.
L4 and 5 vertebrae. How, other than those manifestations, might someone recognize that they have some form of an attachment?
Well, they also hang on the shoulders and neck. Now, don't forget, it's a spirit, but it affects your shoulders and neck. So your shoulders and neck are tight. Your abdomen's bloaty, so you've got a lot of gas. Your liver's going to be dropped in vibration, so you probably feel like brain fog. If your liver's running at 30% because it's paralyzed, it's not going to process the toxins in your body. So you get like a heavy head, like brain fog. You can't think straight. And of course, all these thoughts are coming in, and it affects the kidneys. So you feel absolutely exhausted because it drops the vibration of the adrenals. And so, you know, yeah, you can tell with that. If you've got all those, then you kind of know that there's got to be something wrong here, you know?
Once there is full disclosure and open, direct contact with ETs, how do you think this will affect humanity's spirituality and relationship with the divine in their respective faiths?
I personally think people are going to shift away to spirituality from indoctrinated religion. And I think that's the whole crucial point about all this disclosure in the Vatican at the moment is that they're wondering what to do because these ETs are being seen a lot more. I mean, there was ships in Nevada seen. The positive ETs are around all the time. The negative beings are in the same space but different time. So, but they can shift in. I mean, there's also a lot of, you know, you look at this planet and you think, you know, how come the politics is so dark, you know? And the answer is because the people in charge are reptilian hybrids. What does that mean? Well, they've basically created human beings, but with enough DNA to get reptilian souls there. And, you know, again, they look at all their interests is greed, power, everything else. They have no empathy. You can always tell a reptilian hybrid because they just have no sympathy, empathy, or anything. They just want the job done. They want to control. They're power hungry. You know, they normally have a lot of money, you know.
Are all reptilians narcissistic?
Not all of them. There are some good Anunnaki, you know, not all of them. Draconians, not so much, you know, they're very dark. I mean, if you have a Draconian attached to you, you can get into real trouble with your body within months because, you know, the vibration's so low, so it's going to affect things in your body, things like cancers or things like depression, you know, it kind of paralyzes the body. Archons, they're pretty dark also. Their agenda was how do I say this carefully? If people drink the Kool-Aid of the last 3 or 4 years, what happens is that the DNA changes. And so your soul isn't compatible with your body, so the soul lifts out. And so the archons have come in to take over the body. That's why people who have drank this Kool-Aid change their personalities. They become a little bit aggressive, but kind of checked out.
It seems, even with the Vatican having that press conference, that the military and the church are seeking to control the narrative around ETs. Why are they doing this?
I think because they don't want people to be connecting to the positive ETs, because of course they're here to help, and the more they connect with them, like I said, this free will instrument that this planet's based on, the more people say, "Hey, we need help," the more they're going to start helping, and I think they feel threatened. But there's another agenda as well, of course, that the Anunnaki, Draconians, and Luciferians want to live on top of the planet. You say, okay, so why don't they do that at the moment? Because the oxygen up here is too high, and that's why some of the agendas of blocking the sun out and global warming, it's not for global warming or anything like that. It's actually because they want to reduce the oxygen so these things can come up on the planet. Now, you've got to remember, we're cattle fodder to these things. These things are very strong. If you have some of these beings, I know the military have been going after them sometimes, and they have the power of the mind to actually disarm them just by, sending messages, and bang, they'll drop their guns. So you've got to have a very powerful mind to deal with these things.
Is there physical proof of an alien presence already on Earth?
Well, the problem you've got is that, think people like NASA and these scientists, the governmental system, DARPA, all these people, if you get any craft that have crashed, of course there's Roswell, there's been a lot of talk about all these crashes and, different things with military. I know there's a testimony in Congress by Major David Grush, former Air Force intelligence guy, in July 2023, talked about multi-decade crashes, retrieval, reverse engineering programs. They're there, but of course the deep state don't want us to see it at all. And so yes, they do, but it's hidden from the people. I know they've got reverse engineered, like anti-gravitational things. They've got Stargates. They've got many things. I actually met somebody who was one of the top people in the CIA. It was just a chance meeting, and he showed me, he had a briefcase who could move objects just like that, like 10 feet over to the other side. But I know they've got Stargate. So, for example, like my family are in England now, I know I'm American now, but if I wanted to go to dinner, I could just walk through a Stargate and be in someone's living room in seconds. And we have that technology.
My guest is Dr. Christopher Macklin. We'll be back with more after these words on the Om Times Radio Network.
Humanity Healing International is a small nonprofit with a big dream. Since 2007, HHI has been working tirelessly to bring help to communities with little or no hope. Our projects are not broad mandates, nor are they overnight solutions, but they bring the reassurance that no one is alone and that someone cares. To learn more, please visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Back on Destination Unlimited, my guest this week, Dr. Christopher Macklin. Chris, you shared that there's a governing spiritual ET body that is watching over Earth and helping to maintain the balance. Please tell us more about this.
Yeah, they meet periodically. There's a lot of beings involved. When I went there, there's over 10,000 beings at this conference. And it's interesting because, you use telepathy. You don't talk, of course, and they're all rooting for planet Earth. But again, the reason why there's a Galactic Federation is because they've got to stand against the Keys of Enoch rules. It's not Enoch who developed them, it's the rules of the universe, and that is free will. So I remember going to this meeting, and we were talking about violation education. Now, going back to the reptilians, is that a violation education? To me, it's an education, because if you're told before you come on the planet that these things exist, this is what they do, then you have to learn how to navigate them. And navigate them is power of prayer and get you vibrational. But what happens if a race come here like the grey reticula from Reticula in Orion's belt, when they've destroyed their own planet, and they give us technology for abducting the people so they can create humanoids, grey reticular humanoids? What happens if they shine a trajectory beam and paralyze you and suck you into their ship and steal your sperm, eggs, or what they also do is sometimes they'll fertilize an egg and then they'll put the woman down here, leave it for about a month until it starts growing, and then they'll abduct her again and take it out, because then you get a proper soul in. So what happens if that happens? Is that a violation of education? And by the way, the government signed the contract that we can do that. To me, that's a complete violation of the human race. In that meeting in 2017, they were ordered off the planet. In this time space, they're going to remove them. So they did. The Arcturians took them off. But then they were very crafty. So what do? Now I'm seeing them. There's not so many of them, but I'm seeing them open portals in people's houses. Now, don't forget, they were banned from this time and space. But what happens if they're in a different time but same space? They're not banned from that. So they're in portals, still manipulating people. I thought, oh, we kind of got that wrong. but they're not really abducting people like they did before.
How will openly acknowledging the alien presence shift how we view our place in this world and the universe?
I think we'll shift it because I think, so many people think, well, there's only us in this universe. I mean, and I'm kind of thinking, I was speaking to my father about it. Well, there's only us here, How obnoxious can that be? How egotistical to think that we're the only species on this planet and there's not other beings when the universe is infinite. Of course there's other beings. I've seen them. And I think it's going to change people's perspective that, we're a small dot in this huge universe, but also it's going to make realize that there's off-planet beings influencing us, positively and negatively. And I think it's important.
From traditions that share that God is good and only creates good, how can there be negative fallen beings and reptilians?
That's an interesting question, actually. It's always funny because when people are in trouble, well, where's God? Well, you have to ask, with authority, like, dear God. I think that, again, these things can't intervene. These positive beings can't intervene without someone really asking. And that's not just, oh, woe is me, I need a house to live in. You have to really graft a map of intent. In your brain, you've got, nerve endings. They're like dipoles. And there's a lot of transmissional frequencies and interference here. So it's really important that if you want something, you have to really think it with authority, because those signals from your brain are not going to be heard. And people often say, well, why did God create these negative beings? Prime Creator didn't create negative beings. They're all, good godly beings. It's just that some of them get manipulated, and they're like fallen angels, and they want to start. It's all about greed and everything else. But again, it's to me, it's part of this third dimensional classroom, and it's an extreme one. Not easy living on this planet.
It's funny, we're all given a choice. We can do that which is good and beautiful, or we could do that which is dark and negative. You would think that there'd be some type of a controlling factor somewhere.
You would think, but this classroom was crafted to be an extreme place to actually navigate. And I think, there's no rules. I mean, you come here with your parents, and after that, you're on your own. What do you want to do? And some people, well, I want to rob banks and become wealthy, and, oh, they've gone to jail. Never mind. And then other people want to be service to others and love people and, do whatever they can to help. That would be me, and you've got infinite possibilities, It's like tomorrow I could say, well, yeah, I want to leave this and I want to become a hairdresser. You've got infinite possibilities. Now, that will never happen, but we have infinite choices. The Akashic records, your past timelines are the track you've been on. Your future timelines are infinite. I might go, you could do anything. I could open a restaurant. I could do anything. But to me, the divine path is the path that God has given you gifts for, which I would encourage everybody to try and follow, because you get blessed by it. I mean, I feel blessed, Victor, every day. I do this work. I never think about money. And people often say, and this is probably an important point, if you do a spiritual bit, well, I don't have the money to pay an account. I don't have the money to do, I've got to do my own IT. Well, if you take a leap of faith, we pay our accountant about $24,000 a year, and they take care of everything. I can't stand counting beans, wouldn't know about anything about the IRS. So I'll leave it all to them, and they track it on QuickBooks, and it's all done, so I don't have to worry about that. The IT guy comes in. If we've got a problem with the IT, we have a lot of equipment, and he comes in and fixes it because he knows that, oh, there's a little thing with Windows that I've seen this week, so yeah, and he tweaks it, gets it all back up and running, and we pay him. Could I do it? Yeah. Could I do the accounts? Well, probably. But I'd spend so much time doing that and not doing the things I absolutely love, so I decided very early on that I'm going to employ people to do all the things I don't like so I can really focus on the healings. And I think that's really important, which is your gift from God, you know.
We discussed starseeds in the first segment. You shared that there are more than 50 starseed creator God ET races that help create the DNA of humanity in order to create a truly powerful divine race. How did they do that?
Well, they wanted to splice the genetics, and, you know, it's all the Pleiadians, Arcturians, Lemurians, Atlanteans, Andromedans, all these guys got together because they wanted to create a race that had love in their hearts, was well balanced, and so we've got 57 strands of these DNA. What happened there also is that when the Nephilim arrived, which is called the Anunnaki, they started to seed some of the women down here so that they'd actually start to bear human beings with reptilian DNA, and that started to happen. So it got manipulated. But yeah, originally the human being supposed to be absolutely unconditional loving, and but of course over time the negative beings came in, the ones that wanted to rule the planet because they love the planet. I mean, this planet's wonderful. I always remember George Carlin saying, planet needs help, we've got to save the planet. He goes, save the planet? It's not the planet that's the problem. She's been here for like 200 billion years. It's their people, aren't it? And it's very true. It's the behavior of all these different races, and it's interesting. If you look at the population over the last 500 years, very interesting. 1500s, 438 million. 1600s, 500 million. So not a lot of difference. 1700s, 610 million. 1800s, 1 billion. 1900s, 1.6 billion. 2000, 6.144 billion. 2024, 4 years later, 8.7 billion. It doesn't make sense. That rapid growth of expansion of population doesn't make sense at all. So there's a lot of non-character players, what they call non-character players. So they've been born in a pod with an AI soul. So they're kind of checked out again, so there's quite a big percentage of this planet with kind of an AI robotic biological person, but they're not proper human beings.
What would you say if someone came to you today and said, I want to make the world compassionate, loving, and caring, where every human being, every sentient being extends those qualities to their sisters and brothers, as listed in the Golden Rule, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you, love thy neighbor as thyself. What do we need to do to make that happen?
I think it's going to take time, and I think there has to be a big shift on this planet. People, at the moment, I see a lot of people just going to work, coming home, struggling, bit depressed, watch TV, go to bed, same thing next day. I think people have got to take a step back and start really being educated. It's really all about looking after others, and it is for me as well. I mean, I love Jesus. I'm not a Christian, but I love Jesus' teachings, and he just taught that, don't judge anybody. All my prayers are no judgment. We forgive them and send them back to God with unconditional love and forgiveness, like even reptilians. When I remove them, I always send them back to God with unconditional love and forgiveness, because it's not for us to judge where they are, what they're doing. That's up to them. Send them back to God. Let Prime Creator or the off-planet beings deal with that, But it's difficult because it's going to evolve. I think it's just going to take time. And I think, first of all, we've got to address the dark versus light. And the dark is pretty dark right now.
My guest is Dr. Christopher Macklin. We're talking about his Global Enlightenment Project. Chris, please share with our listeners what the globalenlightenmentproject.com offers.
Well, we've got a lot of meditations, heart chakra releases. We've got meditation for the brain series. If you've got ADD, ADHD, they are healing meditations. They're not just, lying there and just letting the light in. They are, from my voice, the Melchizedek beings will do psychic surgery on you. So that's really helped. And chakra points, rebalancing them. I do one-to-one healings, where, we speak to people one-to-one. We do specialized groups where you can get on. It's up to 20 people. I talk to everyone. We craft a healing sheet for them, and then we really focus on their particular needs. And then we do the general group healings, Thursday, 5 p.m. Central Time, Saturday, 11 a.m. Central Time. I mean, I've got the books as well. We've got books about manufactured diseases. We've got books about manifesting an abundant life, divine transcendence, dissolving the enigma of divine healing, and centering the mind, which is really important in this day and age. And we also have the Sacred Prayer Book, which is quite handy because these prayers are very powerful, and they've really helped a lot of people. And of course, what we do have on the 8th of June is the Divine Ceremony. And that is basically calling out all the satanic things, big pharma, big tech, deep state. We go through the whole thing and bringing it all before God for justice. It takes about 2 hours. It's free to join. We could do with as many people as possible. And it really helps the planet. And
where can listeners find the link to that?
It's on the website. Yeah, if you go to globalenlightenmentproject.com, you'll see it on the front. And if you want to sign up for it, I'd really encourage as many people. If we all care about this planet, if we all get together, what do they say? 2 more gather together. Well, we have had up to 4,000, but nowadays we get 200 to 300. So as many people sign up as possible, I'd be really grateful. It's free to join.
That would be June 8th at 2 p.m. Central Time. Chris, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your experience and your wisdom.
Thanks, Victor, and thanks for having me. God bless you.
And thank you for joining us on Destination Unlimited. I'm Victor, the Voice Herman. Have a wonderful week.